All right, I think we can start slowly as the other guest is on his way. Good morning, everyone. Actually, like it's my morning time, but probably we're quite international, joining from all around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Glad to see everyone basically pulling out for this space event. So today we're going to be talking about like the title is like cold culture community. It's just not a cool slogan. We came up with the poster. Probably have seen it, and it's actually a kind of real question we have been thinking about. At DAOBase for a while. So what does it really take to build thriving like on-chain organizations? Because let's be real, like you can deploy contracts in 5 minutes, and then fork a protocol overnight, but you cannot fork vibes, right? You cannot fork community trust, and so you can definitely not fork real coordination. So this is like the question that we're going to be talking about during this space. So for those who don't know us yet, I'm Hakan, co-founder of DAOBase. We're building a platform that help people launch, manage, and grow DAOs with a bit of AI magic under the hood, basically, and a big focus on making governance feel less like homework and more like community and energy. And we have seen over 170,000 DAOs, spinning up through our platform. You can see, if you go to DAOBase.ai, so basically you can track any info and data related to that you're interested in. So tech is cool, but people make it work. So today, Conway is all about that intersection, where, the code ends and culture begins. And we invited some important guests for this. We have Tomer from Kima Network, Abel from Pulse SocialFi, and we have Claire from Hoop Protocol. And again, those are the questions we'll be talking about, like how culture and social layers shape basically long-term success, and why those vibes that we have just mentioned do matter, and if they're even like measurable on chain, and what makes an on-chain organization work, and some of the challenges that each of us, face. So having said this, made this long intro, I would love to give the mic to our guests. Tomer, since you're the first one joining, maybe we can start with you. The floor is yours. The mic is yours. Yeah.
Hey guys, pleasure to be here. Looking forward to having fun. Name is Tomer, 26 years digital marketeer. Been an angel investor for the last 14 years. Kind of involved in the industry deeply. Writing for Forbes and Cointelegraph for the last 5 years-ish. About DeFi, blockchain infrastructure, etc., RWAs and whatnots. And was lucky enough to be part of Kima and join as a late founder into their team after I decided to invest in them. Came as an investment opportunity, then realized what the guys are building. My mind was blown, and then luckily for me, I was offered to join the team. Kima is building a universal interoperability communication protocol. Basically means that we're allowing any centralized application to communicate with any decentralized application. And of course, due to the unique nature of Kima, any decentralized application on any chain to speak to any decentralized application on any chain. So we're basically making one universal way for everything to speak with everything, in that way that is completely trustless, has no intermediaries in the middle, has no smart contracts and no oracles. So technically, theoretically, let's say, not technically, because who knows, unhackable manner, not in ways that known to men today. And yeah, looking forward to having fun here and chatting.
Yeah. So basically, the keyword is interoperability. Is this correct? Like you're creating such environment where application can talk to one another, without, considering any like the chain itself, right? Can basically, you're creating such environment for application. So which is really important. I have actually like built a bunch of stuff, and that was one of the, major challenge, and still I think so, challenges that, I myself faced. And if we want to scale all what we do to to a longer extent, and I think this is something we have to work on. So I think we're gonna come to that and work deep dive into this after the intro part. So and I want to give the mic to Abel from Pulse SocialFi.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So after TradFi myself, I was a founding member of OKX's European market, driving trading volume there as a centralized exchange. And afterwards, I got into Alpaca markets as an investment director. Alpaca, just for a side note for everyone here, fuels the the on-chain stock boom that we see with X stocks and backed finance, right? So all of the activity that goes there is actually driven by the US broker dealer that is Alpaca. And then eventually I co-founded a project that was listed on Binance and Coinbase as decentralized custodian, similar to Gnosis Safe and Firebox. As for Pulse SocialFi, our aim is to redefine how we connect Web3 to the real world. I mean, one of our core beliefs is that on-chain trading is a social activity, and still speculation and trading is marginally the biggest pie of Web3. Although I hope that, within our discussion today as well, we can explore how DAOs and communities can influence a lot of different industries and territories. Pulse is right now a ZK-based social wallet that makes onboarding seamless with social logins, trustless key recovery, and non-custodial security. I know these sound a little bit boring, but these three, I think, are the core pyramid or base for everyone to onboard in a way that is already known to them, right? So we can expect everyone to store their seed phrase and whatnot. Whereas with Pulse, we do a kind of abstraction. So let's say you already have a wallet. You can connect your wallet to Pulse. You create this kind of abstracted wallet where you can access a lot of different protocols. But the core essence is that we do want to onboard new Web3 users, right? So you can create a wallet from scratch. And we blend this into a social engagement with Web3, where if you join, you have the possibility of writing posts with your wallet's AUM there, but you can also hide it because everything is ZK based. So technically you could interact with a protocol where you don't need to show your wallet, or at least the ZK proof is submitted to on-chain, and you don't need to show who you really are, but you have the possibility of writing posts where, okay, these are the tokens I hold, these are the tokens I share, and then as the audience on the receiving end can verify that, okay, this person's talking about something that they actually know of or are interacting with. And then this goes a little bit further where one can create groups, token-based groups. So let's say you hold a specific amount of a token, you can join that group, and vice versa. As a project, you can create a group where you can allow in people to come in. And within those groups, we have what is called red packets, where you're able to have people claim a specific amount of tokens. This is for mostly influencers or these micro influencers, helping them to create their sort of groups, but also for projects. This is a little bit similar to what some projects do on DBank, where they allow you to claim a certain amount of tokens. So yeah, this is what we do with Pulse, and really glad to be here and discuss code culture and community.
Thank you. Thanks for the detail, intro. So basically, you're directly engaging with the community, with people, with users, and seeing all the challenges in the first place, and which is quite important, in particular for this space as well. So I'll kindly ask for your experience, and you can share with the listeners. Having said this, basically we're going to continue that way. So I will, before we deep dive into like community and DAO relevant questions, I wanted to talk about like recent developments in this space, which I believe is also very important in terms of going further and achieving all those targets that we have set earlier. and achieve all our targets, right? So we have seen like kind of narrative shift, and I want each of you to like make maybe that doesn't have to be long, but curious about your thoughts. So basically, you've got TradFi giants like BlackRock still how to say, like doubling down. Bitcoin ETFs already flowing, and even like Ethereum ETFs basically waiting at the gates, right? Tokenized treasuries we have been hearing all around are becoming real thing, and I myself, have been living in Dubai for quite a while. Tokenization is one of the key points that we're discussing on a daily basis, and I know the situation in Hong Kong, Singapore, the US. So I think like we're not talking about narratives, but more like real thing. And even banks who ghosted crypto last cycle and are basically slowly creeping back, in like, hey, we always, supported innovation, right? And which used to be something different in the past. And then you've got the political chaos layer, I'm not sure, probably you've heard and you've been following the Genius Act. It didn't pass, in the US, but the Donald Trump came out, out swinging and inviting some, I think around like 15, 17 like congressmen to the White House, and pushed for the law to pass basically. And I think that we're going to be hearing good news soon. It's important. So we now seeing banks who can custody and serve crypto users, which really important because you may have the best tech, we may have the best technology, doesn't matter. Technically, you could be the best. But if there's no one using your product, then it's meaningless. That's what I believe in. And I think banks, we need to ask two questions, right? How many people are, using ETF, getting involved into crypto, versus how many people basically do have bank accounts, right, in the US, in any country. So definitely the number of people who are kind of getting exposed to crypto through banks would be definitely higher. So that's I believe very important. And meanwhile, Ethereum, we've got good news from Ethereum side is getting blown up. Fonstrat, Tom Lee is quietly stacking in, and we have co-founder of Ethereum, like Consensus, basically treating it like a balance sheet money. They've been buying for the last like few weeks, every single day almost. And like just curious about your thoughts. And are we entering a kind of new era of legitimacy for crypto, or is this just another temporary hype cycle with kind of like better suits? So yeah, anyone basically can pick a mic and talk. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you mentioned an interesting point there. And maybe the way we should think about it is that it's not the unbanked becoming banked, but the bank becoming unbanked, right? Maybe that's the way to go forward. Yeah, that was a loaded question. I think just a few ideas here or thoughts off the top of my head. It's interesting to see that, even if we look at Pump Size 2 of the 500 million that they raised, they've done this without bankers, right? Or we look at stable coins where they're able to replace a big chunk of Visa and MasterCard transaction volumes without intermediaries. This might be the case, right? It's later on, you might have POS terminals adopting the ability to pay with crypto directly, and not having to go via rails like Visa and MasterCard, which I think, might come with the adoption of crypto in general. But I do think, with the institutional volume that we've seen coming into crypto from the beginning of the year, especially towards the middle of the year, I think right after Trump, it was still a little bit skeptical, but with bond rates going down, I think a lot of traditional family offices, or at least that's what I've seen, are trying to get into crypto, right? Potentially where they're at a private bank and trying to set up a tri-party agreement so that they have access to certain crypto products via rails, even though if the bank doesn't have those crypto products. So I think it's at a point where even, traditional banks have to think about how to give users access, because at least an access where they don't lose the users, or those clients, because the clients are demanding this product. So definitely we're at an inflection point of, yeah, it's interesting to see the way the users, right, the crowd is sort of creating the path forward and not necessarily the regulation. So the crowd is able to shape the regulation. And that's what we've seen in the US. Although, you know, you have countries around the world which might be more, or stricter than elsewhere. So yeah, to me, you know, on-chain organizations are more than just tokens and multi-sigs. It's definitely, you know, a living, breathing sort of entity. And having run some DAOs myself, I think it's one of the biggest challenges is, and I'm going to focus on DAOs here. One of the biggest challenges is to keep everyone well entertained, or everyone interested in the matters that is within the DAO. So usually, at least in my experience, you see in the beginning, everyone, you know, there's a new project, everyone's super stoked and everyone wants to participate in the voting process. And then as, you know, people fade out, and this might be the fact that users are churning, or they just become less interested, even though that they might have direct investment in the protocol or in the token itself. They just become less interested in so the politics of the organization. So yeah, I think it's really difficult to keep up the interest so that people, you keep that democracy that you wanted in the beginning. And I think that it keeps to be a challenge because, users or clients and users don't have the, time to read every single proposal, right? Let's say you interact with 10 different protocols, 10 DAOs, and you need to go on the forum and read all of them. And maybe AI can help here, where it creates an agenda for you. And, you know, this is the things that you should decide about. But, you know, this is where I think, sort of, democracy and autocracy sort of, meets each other. And, you know, you never know if you need a hierarchy. And I think Vitalik has just, posted about this recently or not long ago, where he said that maybe it is better to create a hierarchy, for a DAO, right? With someone having more voting power, on the top of the organization and sort of calling the rules. For us at Pulse, it's definitely, interesting to see, Ethereum's, sort of establishment. And, I think, you know, going forward, because Pulse is built on an Ethereum layer 2, we're definitely excited about things like SharpLink as well, where, you know, they are the biggest holders of Ethereum now. They stake that, and that really creates a lot of value within the ecosystem in terms of liquidity as well. And this also means, as an aftermath, more users and also trust flowing into Web3. So I think, yeah, as I said, the crowd has sort of shifting the industry where they feel like they need products. And also I think, you know, these, I don't know what we should call them, these institutions or NASDAQ listed, institutions investing into Web3, which is sort of a derivative for general clients to get into Web3 as well, has also brought a lot of trust. So I think this is just going to grow more, and we're going to see, you know, more extensions of crypto in our daily lives.
Thank you. So there are a lot of like different points in basically in your answer, which is really good. But in particular, I want to talk about something you mentioned, which is you know, DAO proposals. I'm not sure if PulseFi is you know, has any plan to convert it into DAO. I know you know, Kima has in the future, which is really good. And I want also Tomer kindly mention a bit about this. But yeah, when it comes to the proposal that you said, we integrated with AI. Like, we have to kind of utilize it, because most of the people at the end of the day, yes, are tired of reading long proposals, because, you know, each of us is dealing with, you know, something else. Definitely we have our jobs and, you know, other projects, you know, other than, you know, the DAO that we are involved in. So our time is limited, and nobody basically would love to waste time. So yeah, governance is another issue. Like, how can we, you know, make it automated without, like, maybe in some parts, human being getting involved into it. So we just give the task to AI agents. You know, the rules are basically set in advance. So we have kind of achieved to a certain extent. And basically on DAOBase, we have like AI that you can utilize from, and all this basically problems we mentioned, we have already solved to a certain extent, because we have heard the community voice, you know, all those people who created DAO, popped up DAO, or were part of DAO, any DAO. We have seen the challenges that they had been kind of facing since the very beginning, like 2020, 2021. Again, like 170,000 DAO listed on DAOBase. So we have heard the noise and working on quite fun stuff, because, AI is not something like you can just think of, okay, we can do that. Like, the more you think, the more, how to say, you can extend it. It's up to your imagination. The further you imagine, the further you can build. So yeah. So basically, I want to give the mic to Tomer. Tomer, I know you have, maybe you can first make your comments on, the question that I've asked, like, which is about, like, recent developments in the space. All those, like, I gave the US example because it's the largest economy, and we know after, if SEC or Federal Reserve just, decides anything, and it just, many countries do actually follow up, go after the US. So that's why I gave this example, but you can extend it further. So yeah, the floor is yours.
My brother, excuse me, you guys were chatting about so many things, but what exactly was the question? If you can repeat.
Yeah, because yeah, it was not about DAOs, honestly, but since Abel just mentioned about DAO, so I just added it up. But you can just forget this part, which I will come right after the first one. So we have been talking about recent developments, like from Bitcoin ETFs to adoption, and then Ethereum came into play. Then we have this Genius Act, the White House. So Donald Trump is
about many questioning about progress of TradFi to merge with DeFi, correct? And if things are moving forward.
Yes, absolutely, because and then it brings the adoption, and we have banks now starting to serve crypto users. You can combine with that as well.
Perfect. So I'll tell you what we see, and what I'm also seeing, from outside view as a VC and an angel investor. TradFi is finally coming to a point that it understands the value of decentralized finance. Not in terms of the liquidity. The liquidity and the money that we have here is a joke, to be honest. But the way that things operate is very, very appealing to the TradFi world. Imagine that today, guys, to do an RWA transaction, it usually happens with T+1, T+2, T+3. That is a transaction plus a day, transaction plus 2 days, transaction plus 3 days. Because the process is going through many disconnected and unrelated systems to perform the transaction. For example, you're buying a stock. Then when you buy a stock, you actually purchase the stock, and your bank sent a message to the correspondent bank or the broker to purchase the stock. And then it took money from you. The transaction didn't really happen. So you basically have the paper transaction in your account, and it will take 2-3 days to settle. The bank will transfer the money, and the stock will be moving from one broker to another to the custodial account, and then it will finalize the transaction. In blockchain, guys, it happens in seconds. You basically take your SOL, you swap it to USDC. You take your USDC, you swap it to WBTC. It happens in fractions of a second sometimes. And this is very, very appealing to the TradFi world. They're all coming in. They're coming in very, very big. And they all want to become part of this evolution of money. You know the saying. First they fear you, then they mock you, then you win, or something. Then first we were an industry of gun dealers and terrorists and drug dealers. And then we became an industry of Ponzi schemes, and it all goes to zero. And look at these suckers that bought this funny money on the internet. And now suddenly you have ETFs of Bitcoin and Ethereum trading on exchanges. So the evolution is definitely there. The problem is to actually make these things work together. For the world today, the financial world, guys, it's like making your microwave speak to the internet in Alexa. So it also happened eventually through Internet of Things, IoT. But we're kind of in an era that you have microwaves and then you have the internet. It's completely different stuff speaking in a different language. Kima and other protocols like us are working very, very hard to completely make this a unified, one complete ecosystem. And one of the main challenges, of course, is, as you discussed, is with DAOs. How do I make someone, let's say a stockholder, vote on a normal vote as a stockholder through interactive brokers or through your bank or through your Robinhood application, and the same guy that another guy that holds the same asset but's tokenized, how can he vote as a DAO, let's say, on the same vote while holding the stock on his wallet? Can he? Can't he? How will that work? These are some of the things, of course, that Kima enables and solves, but we won't do a commercial to Kima. You can read more about us. You can follow us. We just signed a huge agreement with one of the centric player banks in Dubai, and everything will be announced soon. Unfortunately, I cannot mention names yet. Follow us to learn more about what.
Oh, is it a bank? Sorry for interrupting. Is it a bank that you mentioned?
Yeah, it's a bank. It is a bank. We're working with a few governments, and we're working with, yesterday by mistake on another AMA, I already revealed it was signed. So I'm also revealing to the community here. It was a mistake, but I cannot mention any names, of course, then excuse me. And again, it's not a commercial to Kima. Follow Kima and read about Kima if you want. But DAOs is a very interesting question, because if you have a DAO, let's say for a token that launched on Solana, and then you fork the token to Base, how does the voting work? Do we just create one unified identity and then I need to connect a few wallets? Or why not just let me stay who I am and with the identity that I chose to have on Base and just let me vote as a DAO? So, of course, you have various solutions who enables this. You have the on-chain stuff that Wormhole does, that XLR does, that Layer 0 does. They all do it amazingly well. But it works with wrapping of assets and with the synthetic assets. Kima does it in a completely natural manner, moving the assets and the creation of the assets without smart contracts and without any risk to the assets on the way, and help you basically manage everything under one identity. So, for example, one of the unique features that Kima can add to the ecosystem, with the help, of course, of our friends at Wormhole or Layer 0, XLR, the rest of the amazing solutions that you chose to use. But the universal golden age of money, of digital money, is coming now. There will be no longer having your PayPal account, Revolut account, your Wise account, your bank account, all in different applications that are managing different balances for you. It's all going to be unified, and you will just have your identity and you will have your money. And your money will be universal, and you will have control over your money. No one can decide what happens with it. It will stay completely decentralized and yours, but it will work with the traditional financial world in complete synergy and complete acceptance and regulated and compliant manner. This is one of the amazing things that can be done with Kima that cannot be done with anyone else. We have 3 patents standing on it. But again, I don't want to make any commercials for Kima. So to answer, everybody are coming in hot. They are rushing into getting a piece of that amazing technology. And basically, if you ask me, we're witnessing now the same exact revolution that we witnessed in the social media revolution days. When social media started, to those of you who are old like me, you remember forums and chats and blogs. But it was basically for the geeks, for those who knew how to use the internet, for those who were brave enough to speak on the internet and weren't afraid to be, digitally, God forbid, raped or stuff stolen from them or hacked or whatever. And here we are in an age that everybody has Facebook, YouTube, TikToks, and social media was simplified to an email as a username and a password, and here you are. You're an internet celebrity. You don't need to know code. You don't need to be brave. The internet is owned by everyone. What we call today Web 2. To those of you who don't know, that's why it's called Web 2, because the internet was read-only. It was Web 1. You only had the nerds like me knew how to build websites. Now everyone can have a website. You just have an email, password, and here you are. You're live on Facebook, TikTok, and you're a superstar. Hell, people can even see you today. You can upload from your phone a video to YouTube and people can see you. Revolutionary, right? We're going through the same evolution now with TradFi and DeFi. And we're now at exactly, imagine the moment that Facebook and Twitter and YouTube were presented to the general public. So this is the golden era of DeFi. We're going to become just web, and we're going to stop with Web 1, 2, etc. Hope that helped, and sorry for the very long answer, but I had to give some background.
No, that was actually very good. I was actually gonna kind of ask more details, but yes, since it hasn't been revealed yet, because I've been following Kima for quite a while, and a good friend of mine is actually one of your colleagues, and I've been talking to him, and I've seen like your partnership with various well-known institutions. I'm not sure whether it was Visa, MasterCard, you were like providing infrastructure, and now you're talking about like banks, you're interconnecting them, like creating an interoperable environment. Now it's not similar to like what you mentioned, like Layer 0 is doing, or other Wormhole, which are like traditional interoperable, basically like how to say, like the providers that we have been working for quite a while in the space. But your approach is quite different, you said, which I was actually not very super familiar. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
And we basically look forward to all this announcement, because I've been living in Dubai for quite a while. Curious, like what kind of partnership it will, rise, and what utility it will bring. So yeah,
Going to be
great to notice.
very exciting days, my friend. And indeed, Dubai is proudly spearheading the crypto asset world in terms of RWAs, in terms of financials, in terms of tolerance. Definitely one of my favorite places on earth to do business in and to visit. And yes, indeed, we're moving very fast forward with some of the entities there. Kima is basically now at the stage, that the technology is out, mainnet is live, but it's like people don't understand what it does. Like people don't understand what it solves. They think that we're one of the bridges out there, and why use Kima when you can have the other bridge? And as you said, like with MasterCard, imagine that you swipe your MasterCard, and at the same moment that you swipe your MasterCard, you basically liquidated now Ethereum on the Ethereum mainnet with the same swipe. No intermediaries. You don't need to pre-deposit anything. No one needs to put credit to you. Your wallets become your debit card, your balance in real life for everything. Hell, you can connect your bank to Bitcoin network, and then the bank will lock BTC and will issue you a mortgage to buy a home. This is revolutionary. So these are some of the things that are happening now. But unfortunately, with the TradFi world, guys, it takes time. These things took, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, we know. We know that's yeah.
And now
which is understandable. Crazy. That's really good. Thanks for the clarification. I'll come back to you. So about basically, what you have been building with PulseFi is also very refreshing approaches in the DAO space, in the community space right now. Correct me if I'm mistaken, and you can add up, you can omit. So most projects are either like hyper focused on tooling or just vibes, but you're kind of really like trying to bridge the two, like by bringing SocialFi kind of mechanism into community, like DAO infrastructure. Again, like you can talk about like your future plan into converting into DAO, or what kind of tooling you provide better than I actually do, and that which kind of unlocks a whole new way to think about coordination. One that kind of not just about proposal and votes we mentioned previously, but about actual community energy. So here I would love to like talk about like how do you see social engagement kind of shaping the next wave of on-chain organization, which you touched a bit on, but you can maybe elaborate on that. And can we actually measure things like community participation, reputation, vibes on chain? By the way, we have been doing this on DAOBase, but curious about your thoughts with PulseFi, and also your thoughts on converting in the DAO.
Sure, yeah. And just to zoom out for a moment, I think there's, the on-chain communities, which I will dive into in a moment. And we can also talk about on-chain organizations. And just to extend to what you've said before, maybe in an ideal world, we have certain amount of tasks, which are always updated by the members of the project, and agents and humans can come and take those tasks, execute it, and get rewarded, right? And I think this is where it's interesting to see with on-chain organizations that, sure, we always say that trust, ownership, and coordination are baked into the code, in terms of having escrow contracts, right? Smart contracts by nature do escrow. You have token contracts, identifying the share of tokenomics of the users or shareholders, and also governance. But I think in many cases we forget that operators need to be trusted as well, right? Because on one end, you as an operator, so as a user, there are still people behind an organization, even though if the ideal world that I described where, whoever gets to the task first and executes it gets rewarded, let it be an agent and a human, is definitely an interesting thing to think about, but you still have to trust the brand and also the people operating a protocol as of today, right? This might change in the future, but I don't put big bets on that. It's always going to be to some extent human operated, and you need to trust human behind those organizations. Now, this is where I think it's interesting, because if you think about the culture that the people behind one organization create, and they create a certain vibe or a certain culture within the community for people to vote on specific things or try to guide people in a way, right? Like, let's say for them, their KPI is to increase TVL. All of a sudden, they create campaigns around that TVL, and that's where they push their community towards. So I think they always, as an organization, as a protocol, you do that as well. Now, if we just zoom into on-chain communities and what Pulse does as well, what we're doing is we're really empowering users to own their data, monetize your engagement, and also govern those communities on chain. So you come in, you create a group, and within that group, it's sort of a micro organization, if you want to think about it as such, where you certain posts interact with one another, and with those interactions, we reward users based on their activity. And Hakan, you mentioned reputation as well, where reputation for us is really important from the get-go. A user comes in, they connect their wallet. We believe that whatever you had in as part of your history, you can bring that in, and that already gives you sort of a score and a validation of your reputation. But also, you can add to that whatever you do on the platform as a creator, or just even as a silent listener, right? If you join a group, you're a part of that group, even though if you don't actively participate in the group, but just, let's say, hold the token itself. So these are the things that we're trying to sort of enable for communities, where they can vote on specific things. They can merge with other groups if they want. They can grow themselves quickly. They can interact with other protocols in Web3, thus sort of growing their group reputation as a whole. And I think it's interesting to think about it as a micro organization, where sure, you don't have to bring huge decisions as a protocol does, but you have continuous activity, and a culture within that community is quite important.
Thank you. I think for the last part, maybe we may have some areas where we can collaborate, like on this tooling, including this, what you mentioned, reputation, governance, relevant issues, voting, and etc. So there are a lot of areas that just came to my mind where we can collaborate. Thank you. That's very meaningful. So basically, we came to the last question. There are a lot others that I wanted to talk, because topic just opens another topic. But I don't like long spaces, but more like a summarized version of where people, including speakers, can learn from one another's experience. That's actually the main reason why we have such spaces on a regular basis, to share our experience on specific topics each week, different speakers and different topic. So the final question is going to be about looking ahead, like you can picture 2027 or maybe further, but not long term, but short term. DAOs are everywhere, just like we have seen in 2021, where almost every single community wanted to convert into a DAO. not maybe like technically, but just as a name, because it's not easy to run it out, right? You have governance there, you have to convince people to take roles, and you need to have a good, rewarding and incentive system, where everyone is kind of motivated to participate, on a daily basis. But just as a name, and not just DAOs spinning up DeFi protocols or NFT treasuries, but maybe powering real communities, running companies, just like Tomer mentioned, and coordinating public goods, maybe even like running parts of local governments in the form of DAOs. Like you can extend it further. So the toolings basically it's cleaner. We have more tooling applications we can apply to easier UI UX, and the culture is hopefully gets more matured. And we have all had like a few more cycles to learn and unlearn. So the question is, what is one thing that you hope becomes the norm by then? Again, like I just named 2027, like within basically 2-3 years, and best practice, a mindset or piece of infra that every on-chain organization just gets right. So, and on the flip side, what's one thing maybe you really hope who have left behind, who we have like basically left behind, whether it is a toxic culture trait, or maybe governance model that really never worked out, and maybe something we all did because it was trendy but actually didn't stand the test of time. Yeah, maybe you can talk briefly. It doesn't have to be long. Curious about your thoughts in the coming 2-3 years. Tomer, I want to give the mic to you.
Sorry again. Question
is, what is one thing you hope that becomes norm by 2027, 28, within 2-3 years of time? Best practice mindset. Yeah. For on-chain organization.
Thank you. Well, definitely, I hope that by then crypto will be normalized in organization as a means to pay salaries to employees, exactly like we do all around the world. I hope that crypto will help decentralize teams to find real talents across the globe by enabling what it enables us today to basically pay someone on chain in a few seconds, and then work with people all across the globe who at the moment were limited with abilities to get paid by us. I'd say that this is one of the most interesting things that crypto brings to the table. I used to look for talent, around the world with with headhunters, and the process was very, very, very long. It was very, very country specific. And now, when you have, let's say, a software engineer of some sort, you're now no longer locked to a certain country or space. It can be in the United States, it can be in the UK, it can be in Ukraine, it can be in Russia, they can be in Indonesia, they can be in Pakistan. No longer limited by the time and space, because everyone can get paid. I hope that big organizations will adopt to crypto payments. At the end of the day, they're the ones who are filling the most of the employees around the world with their means to pay. So if people will get paid in crypto, I believe that it will, of course, help grow tremendously the community and the adoption of crypto, because suddenly they will have it in their pockets, and now they will need to spend it on their daily lives. So that's what I'm personally looking forward to in 2027, 28, 26.
Thank you, Tomer. Actually, like what you have been building, and you already elaborated on that, really matters, because we're talking about like multi-chain future, right? The reality is like most DAOs today still like kind of living inside their own silos, stuck on single L1, maybe two, like with limited reach, fragmented liquidity, and all this like community that cannot really flow across all this ecosystem. That's, I think, a real problem. And if you're trying to build a scalable global on-chain organization, I think those things that you mentioned really matter, and really curious about how it will go and shape into in particular with the solution that you came out with. unlike the other traditional, ones. So basically, look forward to all this partnership announcements and with traditional companies, institutions, because you're directly serving to business, right? All this business that are kind of gateways for those Web2 users, not only Web3. So that's really matters. Thank you. So about the same final question is for you, basically in the coming 2-3 years, your expectations, and also you're directly engaging with the people, unlike Kima, and so you can basically, you're getting directly all those feedbacks, challenges, whatever you're seeing in the first hand, directly from community. It's also very important. You're kind of listening to them and then optimizing your way, realizing all these problems in advance that most of the people actually does. So yeah, your thoughts on the final question.
Sure. Yeah. I'll approach this from user acquisition side rather than internal operations. Generally speaking, I think I hope we can get to a point where, for onboarding new users into an organization, or a product, you will have reusable KYCs, right? You don't need to, once again, create one more KYC, but you do have an identity which you can port to, as many solutions as you want. Just think about how easy it is to connect the wallet. That's the future we want and that I see coming quite quickly. And same for on and off ramp, right? Or removing intermediaries as a whole, where if you think about it, sure, if you go to Moonshot right now, it's easy to upload it with your Apple Pay, with your card, but still it goes with the traditional rails. But wiring out money is less so easy, right? I hope we can get to a point where you don't even need to wire it out. You might use it instantly for whatever services you need. But if we need to, we should be able to do that quickly. So hoping that, on the user side, this is where we can get to, where also users want to find valuable information, right? Right now, everything is very concentrated on X and can be difficult to sort of filter the information as well. So I think sort of information finance will be more and more relevant as we go forward. In terms of toxic behavior within organizations or these forums and DAOs, I hope we can disconnect from this agitation of token price, right? Because everything, and as a shareholder, of course, this is what we see within those big companies as well, where everything is based on where the share price is going towards to. But I hope as an industry, we can have indicators like doing good. We mentioned public goods here, or changing lives of people as another indicator, where it's not only about the fact that, you grow the token price, and eventually maybe we can, for projects where it makes sense, disregard tokens as a whole. And then to zoom out for a moment, I think you mentioned local governments. It's probably not 2027, but maybe later on we can have blockchains and DAOs as part of the governments. I think we are, in many cases, we vote for leaders that are the least worst and hope for the best in, the given term that they have. And as as a country or people of a certain country, we should have continuous influence about the decisions that are made. But this is, a bigger question, but I hope we'll see some more innovations in this area as well.
Thank you. Yeah, the future is very promising. I've listened to both and combining with mine. Definitely, it's very exciting. Even I cannot wait to see it. So many problems, challenges that we faced earlier, like the past 3-4 years, now do not exist. And that's combined with AI, with some technological advancement. Even like Tomer mentioned, his own part, like with Kima, what they're building, and your part as well with social wallets and all this tooling you have built with. So very exciting. So guys, huge thanks to all of you, Tomer, Eval, and to appreciate your, for your insights, stories, and all this, honest takes. We have covered a lot, like from the nuts and bolts of, cross-chain infra to DAO tooling to recent developments in the space, like even covered Donald Trump, to the importance of cultures, vibe, and real human coordination, right? And how we can, at the end, like onboard and actually keep users around this wild on-chain world. So I have got a lot of key, takeaways, and I believe you have as well. So that was actually also one of my targets. Thanks again, everyone who tuned in. Big shout out to everyone who supported the space. So until then, stay curious, keep building. Remember, you cannot afford community. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.